if you want to have a more successful opening or a successful startup, I always advise, spend at least 2-3 years with someone that you align with in the industry, so that you know what you're getting yourself into. Pay the tuition fee first by working for others.
Like my mom always say, right? If you make yourself useful, right, you can thrive anywhere. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. That's how I see my strategy and my outlook for the next year. If really the inflation hits hard, I have to really focus on what role can the restaurant play in this climate, and also like how do we adapt, and we need to adapt quick also. Yeah.
Welcome to the iSearch podcast. Today we have Ren Yi, the founder of myBurgerLab, and also Hong, the founder of Grub, on the show to share with us on what should entrepreneurs know before starting an F&B business, and also their outlook for 2023 in terms of F&B. So welcome to the show, Ren Yi and Hong.
Hello.
All right. So great. So the first thing that I wish to ask is like, what are some major things that you wish you knew before starting myBurgerLab and also Grub?
Hi everyone. So I guess I'll go first, since Burgerlab is a little bit older than Grub. I think that in my 10 years of running the business, and if I may summarize it as things to know before starting a F&B outlet, would be to know that you don't know anything. Every day is a different challenge. Every year is a different challenge. And as you scale, as you open more restaurants, it's always a different challenge. I think me and Hong also have the same thought. Before we come into the industry, we always think, how hard is it to run a restaurant, right? It's just serving food, right? But what little did I know that you need a degree in finance, you need a degree in HR, you need a degree in marketing. Basically, you need to call out almost everything, or at least have some level of understanding before you can run it. Because F&B is not F&B. F&B is actually essentially a business, and just like every other business, it requires a few disciplines for you to master to run it properly and profitably. So that's what I reckon people should know. Hong, do you have anything to add on?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, roughly the same, because I actually worked for Ren Yi before. I sort of took a lot of precedence from what Ren Yi did, lah. And it's the same thing, like it's like this business is so multifaceted, right? It will come as a shock, lah. At the beginning. So like you do have to prepare yourself for that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, from the outside, it looks very easy to start, like what Ren Yi says. So do you think that like entrepreneurs can avoid a lot of mistake if they say, like, Hong, work for someone first, like work in an F&B restaurant first before they even start their own?
It definitely helps. And this is the advice that I give a lot of students that come to me for advice on, should they jump into entrepreneurship once they graduate? And my answer is always no. Not to say that I don't think that they will be able to find success. There are definitely stories where young individuals came out, immediately become huge successes. It's not out of the question, but it's definitely a rarity. Going out to work and working up to a certain level, managerial level especially, and if you're working with startups, being able to work closely with the founders, you're able to see what the pain points are. And hopefully when you go about and start your own business, you make less mistakes. You're still going to make a lot of mistakes, but you make slightly less mistakes. And all these mistakes are always paid in dollars and cents, right? So if you want to have a more successful opening or a successful startup, I always advise, spend at least 2-3 years with someone that you align with in the industry, so that you know what you're getting yourself into. Pay the tuition fee first by working for others.
I think what I would add to that is I will share with everyone the mistakes that I made when I worked for Burgerlab, because I feel like when I worked for Burgerlab, right, there was this point where I became too tunnel vision, because you're doing a very specific role in the business, right? I sort of forgot to actually look around and pay attention to things which I'm not necessarily dealing with. So at that time I was flipping chicken and frying eggs, right, and doing fries. I got really good at it. That's what happens, right? But then I wouldn't say that's a total useless skill to have. What the little that I learned from Burgerlab, things like every station is specialized, and it's all about teamwork, and also it's about how prepared are you, and also how to scale things, making sure that all the processes in the kitchen are scalable, right? So ability to train, ability to do large volumes and not stress the kitchen. But then again, I would say also, if you are working for someone else, do pay attention to other things like the business side of things, the marketing side of things, the creative side of things, and also one of the things that I should have learned in Burgerlab is how to create a company culture that is healthy. Yeah, that's one. There's a lot of things going on. You really have to pay attention. Yeah.
And how long do you work in like Burgerlab before you feel that you're ready to start your own your own F&B?
Yeah, so that time I was very very young. I think I was 30 or that, right? So I worked in Burgerlab for 6 months only. Yeah, and I was like, wow, I want to go. I can't wait to be a founder or something, right? So I left, right. But if you ask me now, what are the regrets I had? Right? I should have stayed longer, and could have learned a lot more and made less mistakes. Yeah.
But I mean, to your credit, Hong, I mean, you definitely. It's also an inspiration to myself when it comes to the creativity and farsightedness you have when it comes to the food that you want to serve your customers. Look, everyone's journey is going to be different, and even for me, we came in to the business after having a pop-up in one of our friends' cafe for 10 sessions, and then we decided to open up. The only thing that I can say is that we were very very lucky, but I think everyone at the start of their journey will always believe that they know everything and that they have everything it takes to start. But that same confidence can be a winning point. It can also be a losing strategy as well. It's a double-edged sword. But I think that for most of us going through the journey, sometimes we don't see that we are learning. So for example, when Hong is with us, I'm quite sure all he sees is just flipping chicken and eggs all day. But it's when you're immersed in that environment, you slowly pick up on things, right? And I do wish that he did stay a little bit longer. Not that I know what I could have taught him, because at the time I was also on a learning journey myself. But he could have seen or he could have spent a little bit more time with us to understand our pain point. Because when you're at work, right, there's no time to talk about, hey, this customer gave me this feedback, or I had this complaint from this customers, or when we did this strategy on marketing. There's no time to talk about that during work, right? It's always the after work then that the things that we do behind the scene. There's a lot of learning. So I think in the early days when even us, the founders, were cooking during the operation hours, and then after operation hours, we were doing the behind the back end work. Those that stayed after hours with us and whatnot, they reap a little bit of the benefits of what we do behind the scene. But of course, a lot of them did not end up in F&B, maybe for the reason that they see how tough it is. But I can almost say almost every one of our ex-staff that went into F&B, they could not wait. And I don't blame them, and I think that, like I said, I was in the same boat as well. I'll give another example. Our friends at Strangers at 47, they were our interns, and right after their internship, I actually asked them would they consider working with us for another 1-2 more years, but they wanted to go out there and start their own thing. So they started Strangers at 47, and they found success immediately almost. I don't think everyone has their own journey, and as long as you don't just jump into it, without having any form of mental preparation of how difficult it is, I think there is room to find success. But again, you see me, Hong, and Sean and Singy, who is from Strangers, we found our success because I think we are also individuals that knew what we wanted, also had, I guess, a good set of head between us to find success in our organization. But between the three of us, there are hundreds and thousands more restaurants that did not make it past the second year and third year, and it's so common. But we don't hear of those stories because, number one, Ben, you're not inviting them onto your podcast to tell about their failure story, and nobody wants to share their failure story. Yeah. But too many times, people like us, sometimes when we share on such an occasion, people only hear the success story. They don't hear the pain that comes along with it, or the trials and tribulations that came along. But you asked a great question, and Hong and I are always open to tell you guys how difficult it is, or how difficult it has been.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I think the best advice that I think you say is better work like 2 to 3 years first, get a feel of the industry and as a whole first before you even start your own. So, I mean, on average, what are some like costs and also like hidden costs, especially that people should know before starting their F&B business? And also typically, how long does it take to like break even Like, give us an estimate or a bob.
Hong, you want to go first? I think Hong might be able to share because his first venture into F&B was a bumpier one, and I think that would make sense for him to share first.
I think definitely the biggest hidden cost which I didn't expect is how physically demanding this job actually is. I remember my first 3 months or 6 months opening my own restaurant, right? Literally every day you're burnt out. I mean, I'm talking about waking at 3 a.m. to go to the market, buying things, come back and cook, and then you have to prepare and train your workers, and then face the customers and do the cleanup and do the debriefing. So the physical demand of the job is actually very demanding, and it will cost you mentally, your relationship with your family, your girlfriends or your partners and all that. And that definitely happened to me.
To add on to that, I think what Hong said is very true. You will be mentally and physically drained. There's just so many things to cover and do. Apart from that, I think opportunity costs, because when you're in F&B, it's quite a focused discipline. And the question is, if you ever fail, what are the other options that's out there for you? And a lot of the people that I know that either had failure in F&B, they still end up within the ecosystem, right? Because there's not too many options that opens up after that, especially if you have spent many years in it. So that could be one thing that is a hidden cost, which is an opportunity cost on one's individual behalf.
How about monetary wise? Like when you, let's say, start like a cafe or whatnot.
Yeah, the break-even question. Yeah, all right.
I for Burgerlab, we were very lucky. Like I said, our experience was very different from other people. We had the black buns to kick us off, so we broke even like within 5-6 months. But that's not a common benchmark. I think generally 1-2 years is a more achievable benchmark.
Yeah.
Hong, I think maybe your experience was a bit different.
Yeah. In my case, it's totally different because I'm not a numbers man. So I think in Ren Yi's case, Ren Yi has partners which are numbers man and everything. So I went in alone, and I wasn't really good at doing up business plans and everything. So there was like a very rough calculation of how long would it take to break even. The original one was 2 years, right? But it actually took me more than 3 years to actually do it, and even that is because we had to make a lot of changes in our cost calculations, in our prices and everything in order to achieve that. But before that, I wasn't business focused, right? Because I was so busy trying to save the business. It's like the business plan wasn't adhered to, right? Yeah, so that was my mistake. Yeah, but yeah. So if anything, I would say, right, really make sure you pin down your business plan, and make sure you constantly monitor it so that you stick to it. Yeah, and if something's not right, you have to quickly make changes in order to push that side of things forward. Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy, right? Like let's say if you are using your own money and not investor money, to wait, let's say 2 to 3 years to break even, it's like you really need to have a lot of savings so that you can sustain your own lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I have to say I don't want to scare people away, but for the first 3 years I was literally broke lah. So I mean, I took a salary of maybe 1,600 and maybe maximum 2,000 ringgit. And yeah, it was really tough lah. Yeah, and just constantly worrying whether I'm able to make rent and salary every month and all that. Yeah, but I think but having said that, learning from my mistake is actually being a little bit more brave would have helped me, and saying that, okay, if this business doesn't work, if this is the numbers that I have to hit, okay, and if I push that and it doesn't work, that means the model doesn't work. That means something has to change. So don't get too worried about like, okay, I'm worried that my things are too expensive or my overheads are too high, right? All these things are just costs. It's just a figure in your spreadsheet. Yeah. So price your things properly. Do up the business plan to cover the cost and everything. You should be fine. Yeah.
I mean, like, what is the major pivot or changes that you did that sort of like turn the business around?
For me, it's realizing that, right, there is a certain formula in pricing your food, right? So in F&B we say the food costs, right? So the cost of food, right? So let's say you sell something for 3 ringgit, and the cost of your food should be about 30%, so it should be about 1 ringgit, right? So if you follow those rule of thumb, right, you speak to all these other businesses who are already long in the business, right, and you learn that actually, there is a lot to cover, right? Not only food costs, you need the extra margin to cover all your rentals, all your losses, and all your salaries, and all these R&D costs as well, marketing costs as well. Yeah. So I mean, really knowing the numbers is actually very, very important. Yeah.
Well, I obviously didn't have to experience that up until recently. Burgerlab has had a great 8 years before the pandemic happened, and during the pandemic, I wouldn't say that we had huge pivot moments. It was just again on the day to day, trying to survive and adapt to the conditions that was the different MCOs, right? So I don't call that pivoting. Everyone was doing the same. However, this year we realized that our business, the fundamentals have changed. Essentially, people don't come out to dine in our restaurant as often. And I know I say this very, very often, and I'm not trying to blame anyone or any platform on this. It's just a change in behavior. So our business used to be 80% or 90% dine in, where else 10 to 20% of it is delivery. But post-pandemic, we were expecting there to be a shift, maybe 60-70% dine-in, and then 20-30% delivery. However, to this date, we are looking at 50% dine-in, 50% delivery. Now, with delivery, again, this is also a topic that has been gone on for long enough. There's a certain percentage of commission that we share with our delivery partners. So that's where the profitability is no longer there. When 80% of my customers used to dine in my restaurant, 80% of that profitability is mine. Now, out of that 80%, 30% goes to somebody else. So the business structure, the business model has changed. Basically, people see us more of a Domino's pizza than a Burgerlab. They see us as a product that they are happy to order via delivery. Certain things we won't order via delivery. For example, you won't order maybe... I wanted to say char kway teow, but nowadays people order char kway teow for delivery. Steak, example, yes, Hong. People won't order steak for delivery. They want to go out there and eat. But imagine, right, for whatever reason, people were happy to pay 100 ringgit, 200 ringgit for steak to be delivered. Hong, you know that you won't be able to make money from it.
Yep.
Right? So that's a social economic change that I can't convert or I can't change currently. So I am still looking for ways to pivot. We've tried all ways to attract people to come in, talk about how fresh and how hot our food is, create new burgers, new menu, but we don't see that shift happening fast enough. So to be fair and to be honest with you, I can't share with you what the strategies are because we're still trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Can I say that your sales actually increase, but then your profitability, the net profit actually decreased because of this?
For me, no. My sales have decreased over the last 1 year as well, slowly, as there are more and more options out there. And I'm not even talking about burger options. There are just so many more new cafes and restaurants out there. And the pool of people that can afford a 30 ringgit and above meal is getting smaller and smaller as well. I won't go into too much into what the political climate situation is in Malaysia right now, but we all know that recession is impending. There is less and less spending power out there. So with that, as an older brand, 10 years and counting, we are not always the first of choice when it comes to buying experience. Yeah. However, I think Hong has felt a resurgence post-pandemic and is doing better than ever before. So I don't think it's applying to all genres of older businesses, but I can speak for at least the fast food segment that we're definitely feeling the heat a little bit.
Okay. Yep. So, assuming the business is now doing well, should the entrepreneurs invest back to the existing location, or should they expand to like a new location, have a lot of branches, or just stick to one branch? Like, what are some key considerations?
So I'm actually very lucky. So I know Ren Yi, and I know a few other restaurateurs who have multiple outlets, right? And I know the pains of running a multi-store business compared to running a single store, right? Because I used to chase that as well, because I felt like in order to be successful, right, in order to have a scale and have enough money to actually make a real change, right, you have to have multiple stores. But my point of view have obviously definitely changed after I understand the issues a bit more. my personal choice is to actually run a single store, right? And to improve and to refine that one business until it's so efficient and it's so capable of taking care of itself, and it becomes a sort of like a landmark, or sort of like a background of other people's lives, right? It just becomes a place, I would like to say, and that's like sort of my goal now, lah. Yeah. And when I talk about expansion, I don't talk about opening multiple stores. When I talk about expansion, I think of things like what other types of background I can be. So I mean, now is probably a place for someone to celebrate their birthday, a place for people to bring their dates, a place for people to celebrate their milestones. So I'm thinking I can also try and do maybe weddings, right? And maybe a bit of catering as well, right? And also maybe branch into a bit of online products as well, right? I would say like a ready meals and all that. So those are the kinds of expansion that I'm thinking of. It's sort of like value add to that one single store that I have. Yeah. So I'm more focused on that. Yeah.
Whereas like Ren Yi, you have multiple branch. So looking back, would you have started multiple branch again? Would you go through this route again?
I think the goal is very different. When we opened our second outlet, it's because we had individuals who we felt if we didn't grow, they would not have a proper career progression with us. So we wanted to provide that opportunity. And of course, with the third outlet, the fourth outlet is under the same intention. But of course, over time I realized that you can open stores for people and chart a growth path for them. It doesn't mean that they will always have the same intention as well. But that being said, I have no regrets on that. I still believe that scaling up is an opportunity for us to offer more to the community, and also it's a better opportunity for the business to have an exit plan. So this is something that I haven't really talked about up until recently. Which is where is the end game for myself, where is the end game for the business, and I think I'm having this new frame of mindset whereby I want to sell this business at some point. I want to build it to a level where I'm proud of it, where I want someone more capable than me to take over and bring it to a larger on a larger scale, or on an international platform. So that's where scaling up becomes the viable solution, because otherwise nobody would want to buy a small brand. They want it to be of a certain size for them to have vested interest in it. However, the scaling game is also a very tricky one. Most brands you talk to would prefer to open up and scale up very quickly. One good example is Zeus. They have opened up to 130 outlets already at this point in a short span of 4 years. Right, I believe around that timeline, and it's insane. But their goal is very clear from day one. That's already what they wanted to achieve, and you can see that there will probably be an IPO or some level of sales going on in the next 2 to 3 years, just like how T Life did for themselves. So for me, Burgerlab, I want to go down that trajectory moving forward. However, in the state that we are in right now, we have 6 stores, neither small, neither big. So it's in limbo land, and that becomes very difficult. Hence, why my new partner coming in is ready to put in the needed fundings to scale it up to where we become desirable to some of the big boys. So that's where the idea is. Yeah, yesterday we saw this guy who sells pork nasi lemak. I want to drive a Ferrari. I want to drive a Phantom.
Yeah.
But that being said, right, so there's this viral thing that happened yesterday. He sells nasi lemak, pork nasi lemak, and he made a comparison to Village Park. Now, Village Park, one restaurant only, right?
Exactly.
So it is a possible route as well.
Yeah, I think I really like what Ren Yi said just now. Having the end game in mind really will make you focus on the action, give you conviction to take actions necessary to reach that end game. It really, actually, right now I feel very, very driven. Once I have this idea of what my end game is, right, I really things happen a lot faster. I make decisions with way more conviction than I used to be. That really helps. Yeah.
So Rennie's end game is maybe like to sell the business. What about your end game, Hong?
Mine is a little bit different. I wouldn't say I want to be like Village Park Nasi Lemak, where I mean, I would like to drive a Ferrari, but sure. But I think mine is a bit more on the artistic side, because I used to be an architect, right? So there's always this idea. The great restaurants I've been into in Europe, right? It's like restaurants which are 100 years old, or 150 years old, or 200 years old. And these restaurants, when I was there, it has this. It has this kind of weird sort of anonymity that it's not like it's not hyped up. It doesn't feel the need to like stand out. But the restaurants is so embedded in the community in the area or in the city. Like some restaurants are so powerful, it defines what the city is, right? In a city of culinary cities, right? These restaurants are like almost like the soul of the city. So that's what I want Grub to be one day. And how I'm going to achieve it is I'll try and build a system or a team where the restaurant will learn and evolve without me. I want one day the restaurant to be able to say, Hong, we don't need you anymore, right? And it will be supported by the community, and it will be supported by the people who are in there doing that job. Yeah, hopefully that's my end game. Yeah.
Okay.
Romantic, but
Yeah, is that your inspiration after let's say you come back from Europe? That's why you're doing your renovation now.
Actually, I've always had the idea. It's just I never had the conviction to do it. Yeah, I've that all those restaurants I visited is about 10 years ago when I was a student. But now it comes back to me when I'm a bit older and wiser and a bit braver. So that's why I'm doing the renovation, because I really want to build something which will last. I think, yeah, and also give almost same importance to customers to my staff as well. So I want my staff to be comfortable. I want them to want to come to work. Yeah. So yeah, that's the way I think I will achieve that. Yeah.
Okay, so can I say that when an entrepreneur consider whether do I want to like scale up to multiple branch or do I want to just stick to one branch, so the consideration is if I want to like retain control, I want to build like a community in my city, I'll just go with one branch. If I want to exit, I have to build multiple branch because the valuation will be higher. So because the investor will not pay a high valuation for, let's say, just one branch or two branch. So it's a necessity to go to many branches so that your exit valuation is higher and it's more worth it for you to exit.
It would be an oversimplification, but I would say that there's two ways to look at it. Like, I'm quite sure there are multiple ways to package it, whether it's a single brand. Because, for example, US Pizza, I'm sure you've seen them around in the last 2-3 years with mass expansion, right? They started off as a singular. Again, this one needs a bit more research, but from my general understanding, they started off as a single Penang store only, right? One single store. And what happened was, I think a group came in, had the vision to scale it up. They like the brand. They say, hey, look, this one I can 10 times it, 100 times it. They invested in the business, and their sole job was to expand it to hundreds of outlets around Malaysia. And then the idea is to sell it off. So it can be a combination of both, whereby Hong himself feels that, hey, I'm happy with one store, and then some guy comes in and say, hey, look, I think you can do 100 stores. You can be a TGIF of Malaysia. You can be a Chili's of Malaysia. Let me buy into your business and let me scale your business. I'll buy into 60% of it. I'll do the hard work. You just need to give me your recipes, right? There are such combos as well.
Okay, all right, understand. So let's talk about marketing. Like, how do you get people to your restaurants? What are some marketing strategies that have worked well for a business? And also, like, how do you measure like this marketing campaign is success or not?
I think back in the days, Burgerlab is seen to be like a marketing leader of sorts for small F&B businesses. For the most part, we basically leverage on the free social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram, whereby if you have good copywriting, you have good topics, you can go viral fairly easy, just like TikTok these days. But back then, it was just a nice image, a good copy, and it can get you quite far. I would dare say that if you have 100,000 fans on your Facebook, you post something, 50-60% of people can see your post. But over time, gradually, as they want you to spend on ad campaigns, if you post something, at best you get 1% of people who already follow you that sees your brand. If you want more exposure, you gotta pay for it. Yeah. So over time, it became more and more difficult to create such trendy and viral posts. and we started, boosting posts and paying for ads and whatnot. And that's the nature of things. It's never been meant to be free in the first place anyway. So we have struggled over the last 2-3 years trying to stay relevant, trying to keep our brand in front of the customers. But right now, just as our earlier conversation, TikTok is the new Facebook. As long as you know how to game the algorithm, you have a good content, you can go viral for free. You can reach 1 million people, 1 million eyeballs for free, right? So the question is, how does one game it? And it's not as simple as last time, because video content is more difficult than text or photo content as compared to before. So you need to be able to perform, you need to be able to sing, dance, or be funny, right? Or act in front of the camera. And not all businesses are able to do so. So I think that's where the challenges is. While it's still cheap to do so, not everyone can leverage on it. So for those that can, we see meteoric rise, within 1-2 months of making a post, right? From someone who is a nobody to an instant celebrity.
Yep.
It has happened, and it has done well for brands as well. So I think what I'm trying to make a comparison of is nothing has changed 10 years ago and now, right? There will always be changes in platforms. The question is, how do you leverage on the current trend? So for us, Burgerlab, we're starting to spend more money internally to create content rather than creating a piece of content and then spending money to push the ad out. Because right now, anyone that opens up Facebook or Instagram, all you see are ads. All right, and when everyone is special, no one is special. So we are leveraging on different platforms. In fact, we are also starting to build smaller communities, like on Discord. Burgerlab, we have our own Discord channel, where it's very, very active. We talk to real fans, people who are genuinely in our restaurants and giving us feedback and just being friends with them. And this is how we started in the early days as well. So that's how we are shifting our marketing goals, where we are more community driven. It's still word of mouth in terms of the strategy, but the platforms are different.
Yeah, I think if there's any advice or any observation that I've made doing marketing on social media, right, is you have to be consistent. Like, you have to be consistent. If your niche is steak, right, the algorithm will just want steak pictures all the time. Even if you're sick of it and you're bored of it, you've done steak pictures 3 times a day and whatever it is, like. But that's how the algorithm works. So you have to understand, and in some ways you have to give people what they want, right? Even though sometimes it may get a bit soulless. But I mean, do find joy in it, right? I think I'm getting better at it now, right? So I take the opportunity, or rather than just sharing pictures of sexy steaks, right? I do try to take opportunity to explain to people the different sides of the story of F&B. So I would tell stories about my boys. I would tell stories about how the steak, where the steaks come from, why certain cuts are popular, why certain cuts are good, and so there's a bit of education, there's a bit of fun, and inject a bit of story in it. So have fun with it, but do remember, for what I've observed so far, is consistency is really important. Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on like engaging influencers to come to your restaurant and give their feedback?
This one is Ren Yi's topic. Yeah.
I think that they are still relevant to some extent, but the modern day consumers are also a lot more smarter. They know when it's a paid campaign where the influencer is there to say things that are nice to hear, right? Where else a genuine influencer marketing, where it can happen, where they are already fans of the brand, doesn't hurt to be paid, and the way they speak of the brand is different as well. I think it should still be a part of, I guess, some brands' marketing strategy, but it does not apply to all, because it costs a lot of money is one. Number two, you need to keep at it, and you need to know who is hot, who is not hot, as your business grows as well. And the audiences change. And this one, I can speak openly about this on behalf of Ming Yu and Ming Han, and because I spoke to them about it. They used to be hot stuff, and they know, right? They were able to recommend stuff, and people would go and get it on the streets. People would want to take picture with them, and these days it's different now. They don't get as many brand deals. People don't stop them and ask for photos as much, and Why? Because there are just a new generation of influencers that is more prominent. So that demographic changes. The celebrities or the influencers that people follow changes as well over time. So as a business, you need to grow with your audiences and see who they listen to, and tap into that audience through the influencers at a right and strategic time. Because when a influencer oversells it over time, there is a distrust. I'll give you an example. One influencer that rise to fame very quickly and really like her content. Her name is Ivor, and she's the I did it, or I tried it so that you don't have to try it. Really love her content, but over time, you know that she's being sponsored, and kudos to her for getting those jobs. But you know, over time, it's not a genuine review anymore. You know that she's paid to do it, and she has to say good things about it for the most part, right? No wrong on her side, but as a consumer, I know I cannot trust on the comments as much as before.
I think in terms of engaging influencer, I'm also new in the game, but recently me and Ren Yi went to some marketing course, and I did pick up a few things about it. You do have to understand the game. There are different types of influencers. There are the macro ones, then there are the micro influencers and all that. You have to come up with a strategy, and it also depends on what is the end, what are you trying to achieve, or what are you trying to get out of it. I feel like if okay, let's say you feel like you're not on the map, right? So you need a loudspeaker. You need to spread your name or your brand out, to put it out there. So you can hire all these big influencers with millions of followers. That would definitely get your name out there, right? But would it tell your story, right? So I've actually made up my mind on how to engage influencers. It's almost like I'm interviewing. I'm looking for someone who is living a lifestyle which is aligned to what Grub is all about. Like maybe someone who really likes meat, or maybe someone who has a carnivorous tendency, or very ladies who like how you say, casual dining. So it's like I'm looking for. I think to put it in a professional way, I'm looking for brand ambassadors rather than influencers, right? And people who can actually, who are actually into me, into what we are all about, and we are also into what they're doing. Maybe have a bit of conversation there, help each other out, yeah. It's just build like a community, yeah. I think so.
Understand. I think so far the strategy that we talk about in terms of marketing is all social media. So far, it's like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. But there's one more under-tapped platform that I feel that a lot of people are missing out, which is the Google reviews. Because like people really search and read the reviews before they, especially if they are discovering a new restaurant, they'll go to Google reviews and check how's the reviews like before they go. So I would say that besides marketing, the quality of your food actually would help you to bring in more new customers, as well as more people give you 5 stars and whatnot lah. Or if 3 stars if the food is terrible.
Yeah. So in terms of the social media platform that I use, right? Actually, I spend most time on Google reviews, because I feel like a lot of the feedback I get on Google review is really unfiltered. Like it's really like if someone is angry, they will go like 100% to tell you how unhappy they are. So I spend a lot of times reading every single review and actually respond to all the ones which are really, really critical. So I mean that for me is a very good barometer of how my restaurant is actually performing as well. And also Google also give you the data and all that for you to look at. How many searches.
How many views
you can also
per
see
month,
like how you rank. Yeah. Yes, exactly. What's your reach and everything. Yeah. It's definitely a powerful tool. Yeah.
For me, I think Google reviews will happen naturally. Obviously, we do keep an ear on it to make sure that if there's any unhappy or dissatisfied customers, we do attend to them and make sure that they are taken care of lah. I don't know how else to focus on driving people to put good reviews on there. Like you said, it's natural. It should stay natural. However, Hong talked about the BFM event that we went to on how to do marketing. We also have to understand that different demographics, different age group gets their reviews differently. I don't know which demographic uses Google review at this point. I don't think it was mentioned, but when it comes to the social media side, Facebook, Instagram. Facebook itself is I think 30 and 35 and above these days, and then Instagram is like 25 and above, and then TikTok is more the younger generation. So for example, the younger generation, the Gen Zs as they call them, if they want to search for something, they don't use Google. They use TikTok.
They use TikTok.
So if they want to learn about Burgerlab or Grub, they will search on TikTok, Grub, or myBurgerLab, and see, number one, if the brand itself has a landing page on there, and number two, what do people talk about these brands, and that's where they get their, I guess, information or reviews from. So why I mentioned this is because the level of trust that we all have on Facebook and Instagram, I think there is that too much of it is paid. Too much of it is biased, right? That's why people want more unbiased platform.
Yep.
Now, why I am more in preference of having better reviews on TikTok is because I believe that the younger generation are the one that determines what's cool and what's not. If an 18-year-old says that this brand is cool, what will happen is he will convince his parents, his grandmother or whatever, to come and visit and patronize, right? So they are still the group where they decide where to go, what to eat, what to play, right? So I will still spend my time ensuring that our reviews or our image on these platforms where the younger generation is hanging out is of a better quality lah. I mean that there's a positive words being said about us lah. That's where my I guess where I'll be paying where I will be paying attention to.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. But I mean, like TikTok, usually it's harder to like see the reviews because it's video content and you wouldn't get as many video content as compared to say Google reviews is like words content, so you can get like thousands of words as compared to say TikTok maybe, I don't know, less than 50 or something, less than.
But I think from my experience, because I've recently become very, very dependent on TikTok on everything. I think like I've literally like my hands are glued to TikTok, right? It's like because the content is sort of very homemade, so it's got that honesty to it, and also it's because it's video, like, so there's not much of polishing that you can do to it. So it's like I do almost all my restaurant searches on TikTok now. I just literally go on TikTok and find the restaurant I want to see. Yeah, and I'll decide fairly quickly. Oh, this looks good. I'll go. Or I'll say, oh yeah, obviously it's crap, right? Then it's like it makes it the process becomes very, very fast. Like in Google reviews, I have to go and read, and then I'm like, maybe this is his opinion, right? Or this guy doesn't like steak, or he's a vegetarian, he might not like this restaurant, right? But TikTok is just direct, bang, straight to the point. This is it, right? You look at it at 15 seconds and you make up your mind, right? That's how powerful it is. Yeah.
Well, for one, there's this particular generation that don't like to read words.
Yeah.
They want to consume visually.
Fast.
So I've okay. This is what me and Ren Yi is hearing, right? We are meeting young kids, right, who are telling us, right, when they watch movies and they watch YouTube videos, they play it at 1.5 speed or 2x speed. Yeah, this is the generation we're dealing with.
I mean,
yeah,
if this goes on, then the GSC and TGV is in trouble.
Yeah. And Ren Yi, recently, right, I met someone who told me, right, what she would do, right, is switch off the audio, right, and just put it at 3x and just read the subtitle because it's so fast. You just watch the whole movie like that.
That's crazy,
dude.
But I think it's definitely a generation where they want instant gratification more than ever.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, we're all like that.
Yeah. True.
But they are born into this generation where information is at the palm of their hands. So it's only natural for them to expect information to be directly pumped into their brains.
Yeah.
I think, in the future, we're just one matrix away from, having... getting plugged into the system.
Meta is not doing well.
Oh, we shall see.
Meta definitely is not doing well. Recently, they lay off, I think, 9,000 staff or something like that. And
yeah.
But I tried the product. It's damn good. Yeah.
I think it's not affordable to everyone yet.
Yeah,
maybe.
true.
That's why it's not widely
Yeah,
used.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, especially this year, hiring has been a major problem for a lot of business and also F&B business included lah. So how do you solve this problem at your restaurant and also make sure that the staff quality remains the same?
Okay, so I view this very differently. I understand that this is we are in a wave of change, right? And I'm accepting of, okay, things are like that at the moment. There's no point in me trying to fix things right now. I try to fix it, it's gonna change again. So I'm waiting for some level of stability before I put my foot down and say, hey, look, this can no longer go on. I want to make these changes. For now, we're just riding the waves. Now, staffing has always been an issue even before the pandemic, right? But Burgerlab, we are able to attract the younger generation to work with us for the most part, for different reasons. You know, we have the we have the culture, we have the values, we have the, hey, look, if you join us, you know, it's a fun working place, that kind of stuff. But these days, people are not looking for that. These days, people are looking for cash value. It's straight up as that. Not everyone is saying that, hey, look, I value the lesson you give me. Because times are tough, people want money. And last time, if I'm paying 7 ringgit, the next best restaurant, they probably pay 8 ringgit. Right? And how many restaurants are paying 8 ringgit per hour at that point in time? Not a lot. But these days, you have so many restaurants that's happy to pay 10 ringgit, 15 ringgit, even 20 ringgit for a dishwasher per hour. Right? So the competition is out there and it's unrealistic. Right? Should people be paid more? The answer is always yes. Right? But there's always a market standard that we will be following. Right? So right now, we try our best to continue to advocate for, hey, look, if you work with us, these are the skills that you develop, this is who we are, you know, hopefully you align with us and come and work with us and contribute to the growth of the business. But I wouldn't say that this is a time to put down our foot and say, hey, look, this is how we're going to move forward in our pay structure. This is how, because I still sense that there's still a lot of change going on. That's the only way I can put it. So right now I just need to keep enough people on board to keep the ship sailing. At the same time, if people leave, put in fresh blood just to replace. I don't expect them to stay because, again, as well as we treated people during the pandemic, we kept everyone's job, we kept everyone at full pay. The moment things open up, there's a better pay in Singapore, there's a better pay in the next restaurant, they will leave. And I don't blame them because if I were in their position, 200 more is 200 more. And if I'm a business, I can't afford to pay, hey, look, go ahead. Right? So that movement is still happening. And I will not fight the tide. I will just sail along with it until things calm down.
My strategy, because I'm just a single store, my strategy is just to really pinpoint the skeletal crew that I can really that's really got my back, and then I really pay these people very well to actually do that job very well, and there's a certain level of how you say, nakedness or bad stripped down version of Grub that we're willing to go down to, even if it really means it comes down to serving 2 steaks and maybe 1 pasta dish and 1 dessert. If that's really what I have to do to survive, I will do it. And then I think for me, my weakness is I'm not actively hiring. So that's something that I think I should start doing. Because I feel like a lot of times you're so busy right now running the business, right? You forget that, you know, these people, they will grow to a certain point, they will go. They have to go and find something better, right? So I think always be in the mindset of, you know, you're already planning for the next 2-3 years down the line, like your team and everything.
Understand. Where do you hire F&B staff?
I hire from
I think Hong and I very different demographics.
Very different demographics.
He relies more on I think foreign labor for the most part. Not to say he didn't try hiring locals, but he has this theory that locals just don't like working with him for whatever reason, or don't like his face.
I mean, I'm not nice in the kitchen. I'm a bit like Gordon Ramsay.
I think there is also some level of expectation. So while Hong's restaurant is famous, if he hire from local, which means that and his food requires some level of, I think, technicality to pull off, especially for the locals. So you'll be looking at cooks and chefs to be working in his kitchen. But the local trained cooks and chefs, they don't want to be working in a place like Hong. They want to be working in
Hotels.
a 5-star hotel. They want to be working in a famous, Western restaurant. They want to be seen that it looks nice on the resume. So that's one, I think, disadvantage that Hong might have. For me, also difficult on that point because no respectable cook or chef wants to be working in the kitchen flipping burgers, right? It's a waste of their talent, as they would call it. So then my only other option is either foreign workers or, as I mentioned before, the young adults who are in transition in their life. So the 18-year-old to the 21-year-old who are in college, who wants that little bit of extra money, who wants to grow their skill sets, right, at work. That's where my target hires are. So a lot of it is actually through word of mouth. People who have worked with us, who had a good experience, will recommend their friends to come and join to be a part of the team. So that's where we hire from. But other than that, it's just like everybody else putting it on myBurgerLab, JobStreet, Facebook. We will try every avenue possible.
I think one of the things that I learned from when I was working at Burgerlab, right, really in F&B, you hire anyone who's willing to show up and do the job. And at that time, I remember in Ren Yi's kitchen, right, anyone who wants to learn can do the entire kitchen station if you want to. So at that time, I saw like little girls was about maybe like very very tiny and petite, right? If she decides that she wants to do the beef griddle, she can do it. It's like anything is possible as long as you're willing to train them and try them.
So I think the context that I have to give is that most restaurants, when they hire an individual, most of the time they're stuck in one position for the most part. If you're a cashier, you're a cashier. If you are a burger flipper, you're a burger flipper, right? Because it costs money and resources to train people on all stations, especially if they're part-times. But one of the things that we believe in here is that we want you to develop different skill sets. Every different station teaches you a different lesson, right? Whether it's coordination, whether it is stress management, whether it is it's just different skill sets, and that's what we want, and that's why Hong saw that as a benefit working with us. We provide opportunity to learn. It's not so much as we're trying to save money. You just work on this station, you don't have to worry about anything else, and just be as efficient as you can in this one station. We encourage people to move around. That costs us time and money, and sometimes that's why your burgers takes a little bit longer because it could be someone new managing the station. But you're not supporting a burger joint that is just about making money. It's about growing people. So that's what I believe in now.
Okay. I mean, without realizing, we're almost 1 hour. I mean, it's been really fun.
Oh la la, we can talk about ourselves all day.
Okay. So, I guess to wrap up, lastly, before we go, what are your F&B outlook for next year, 2023? I mean, with the rising inflation and also the upcoming recession, what is your outlook for next year?
I think for me, it's always been. I think this inflation thing is almost like a cycle, right? So restaurants have been going through it for hundreds of years. So I mean, for me, it's adaptability, right? So if certain cuts of beef become too expensive, okay, we go for the cheaper cuts, or we go for the non-loin cuts, and then we do dishes out of it. I mean, people will always need restaurants because it is part of their life. It is their comfort. It is it may be for some people the reason they get out of bed, right? So sometimes in this kind of situation, I try not to see the restaurant as a business, but I try to see what role it has to play in that situation, and we try to achieve that goal. And if you like my mom always say, right, if you make yourself useful, right, you can thrive anywhere. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. That's how I see my strategy and my outlook for the next year. If really the inflation hits hard, I have to really focus on what role can the restaurant play in this climate, and also how do we adapt, and we need to adapt quick also. Yeah.
Well said, Hong. Honestly, I always think of myself as a optimistic pessimist. optimistic pessimist. I'm very sure that bad things will happen. Now, it is a common saying that people will always want to eat, rather even during a time of war. But I think people will be picky. People will be people will be more selective on where they want to spend their money. So I believe that as a restaurant, we need to be able to understand where do people want to spend their money at, what is their budget range, and the beauty about food is you are able to manage that expectation of costs accordingly. But of course, there will be some level of the quality will be affected. It won't taste the same when you adjust certain quality and ingredients. But if people can't afford a 30 ringgit burger, then I have to find a way to make a 15 ringgit burger, right? Or even lesser. So adaptability has to be one of the traits that we as entrepreneurs have to develop very quickly in this current climate. And I don't think all businesses will survive. I don't think all F&B will survive. Only those who are willing to adapt and change will see the day of light. I do hope that in the next 3 days, I think by the time this podcast comes out, we would already know who the new government would be. I might be on the next flight to Mars, depending on who wins. But jokes aside, I hope that the right governance is in place, and it takes care of everybody equally. And I think only then we as businesses that is existing in Malaysia can see a future that we would like to serve, right? Because if it continues to be a situation where we are constantly struggling, then as much as I find joy in serving people, what's the point? It is in the hands of the people that are supposed to serve us, and I hope that Malaysia have the opportunity to see good governance lah. And I think everyone will thrive, and we don't have to talk about being worried about what to do during a recession.
So I guess this whole podcast, there's only one purpose that we do this podcast, which is to ask everyone to vote wisely. So yeah. So we should.
Well, like I said, by the time the podcast come out, I hope everyone voted wisely. But it is what it is. I think whatever the result is, we have to be behind it. It is our country after all. I think what we are saying here is I hope everyone vote in favor of who we want. We're all selfish like that, right?
Ah, dear.
And with that, we shall end the show. And thanks Ren Yi and also Hong for coming on to the show. Check out myBurgerLab and Grub down below, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Cheers.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you.